Anthony Davis would still be the number one pick in a 2012 NBA redraft. However, Michael Kidd Gilchrist would not be the number 2 pick. We've got him dropping to number 16. Then we had Bradley Beal 3rd, and he drops just one spot to 4th. But then a divisive player at 4, Dion Waiters. He's going to fall into the 3rd tier to 12th in our redraft. Then 5th, it was Thomas Robinson, and he's our first real bust on the board. He falls all the way to 32nd. But then we had an excellent pick at 6 with Damian Lillard. He jumps into the top tier to 2nd, just behind Anthony Davis. Moving on, at 7 and 8, we had 2 decent picks, Harrison Barnes and Terrence Ross, and they both slide into the 3rd tier, with Barnes staying put at 7 and Ross falling to 15. But 9th was Andre Drummond, and he moves up a few spots to 6th, just squeezing into that 2nd tier. Then Austin Rivers and Jeremy Lamb went 10th and 12th, and they both dropped several spots into the 3rd tier to 18th and 17th. Then we have our first player falling into the 4th tier, Myers Leonard. He drops to 23rd. And then a couple more forgettable picks, 13 and 14, with Kendall Marshall and John Henson, and they both fall into the bottom tiers as well. Then at 15, it was a decent pick, Mo Harkless. He actually rises one spot to 14th. But then some more underwhelming picks, with Royce White and Tyler Zeller. And then Terrence Jones goes from 18 to 19, and Andrew Nicholson drops into the bottom tier. But then finally we get another decent pick, Evan Fournier at 20. He rises all the way to 9th. But then from picks 21 to 30, we had an unprecedented run of underwhelming or straight up bad picks. Usually there's a couple of hidden gems at the end of the first round, but that was not the case in 2012. The only guys that are even in the 4th tier from this group are Jared Sullinger, Miles Plumlee, and Festus Ezeli. Okay, so that completes the first round, and we're not going to go through the entire second round, but there were quite a few noteworthy players to bring in that sort of redeem this draft. So first, some of the guys that rise into the 4th tier, Thomas Satoransky, Quincy Acey, Mike Scott, and Kyle O'Quinn. But then we've got 2 second-rounders jumping into the 3rd tier. First, Jay Crowder at pick 34 jumps all the way to 11th, and then Will Barton at pick 40 jumps all the way to 8th. And then finally, we have 2 second-rounders rising all the way to the 2nd tier. First, Draymond Green, who was the 35th pick, goes all the way up to 3rd in our redraft, to the top of tier 2. And then Chris Middleton, who was the 39th pick, rises all the way to 5th, just behind Bradley Beal. Okay, and then briefly, here's a few undrafted players that deserve mention as well. Kent Bazemore and JaMychal Green both rise into the 3rd tier to 13th and 10th, respectively. And then Mike James and Jonathan Simmons rise into the 4th tier. Alright, so that'll do it for our 2012 NBA redraft. Who's too high and who's too low? Let me know in the comments.